up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Zoe and I'm here today to talk about all the books that I read in the month of April. I had a much better reading month in April than I did in March. I just had the worst time in March. It was just not fun. It was very meh. I didn't really care about any of the books, but I read some really solid books in the month of April, so I'm just gonna go ahead and jump in and talk about them. I forgot to put on lip gloss. Necessary for a girl who doesn't like to wear lipstick. Woo! The very first book that I read in the month of April was Her Pretty Face. This is by Robin Harding. This book is an adult mystery thriller and it follows a stay-at-home mom who is a mother to 2 children, has a husband, seemingly kind of the nice suburban life. She ends up meeting a friend and there's some interesting things that start to happen between them. They start to reveal some of their pasts to one another and let's just say things aren't exactly as they seem. I don't want to give too much away. I don't even recommend actually reading the synopsis of this book because it kind of gives away some stuff, and if you just go into it, I think it would be a little bit more enjoyable and have a little bit more of a, oh my gosh, when the plot twist happens. But one of these women is not exactly who they seem to be, let's just say that. It also follows the daughter of the other woman. So there's 3 different storylines that are going on during this book, which I actually ended up really enjoying. It made the plot move really fast, it made the reading experience really enjoyable, and it really kind of thickened the plot. It's told from each of those 3 perspectives, and I really liked how they all wove together at the end. The twists at the end weren't incredibly jaw-dropping, but they were definitely entertaining, and I thought that they were revealed really well. I do wish the end would have been a little bit crazier, but that's just because I prefer like the most crazy cliffhanger endings, and that's not how most stories end, but I would have loved to see more of that in this book. I did give this book 4 stars. I super enjoyed it. It just wasn't one of my new favorite mystery thrillers. I do have one thing that was kind of annoying me. The author used one word in particular like 4 times in one chapter. It was just very interesting. It was the word benign. I don't know why I picked up on that, but for some reason it just kept appearing in the chapters. So-and-so, this was benign. It ended up being benign. And I was like, this is such a weird word to keep using over and over in one chapter. So kind of weird, but overall, I really enjoyed this book. If you're looking to get into mystery thrillers, I recommend this one for sure. The next few books I read, I actually read during a weekend. I had set aside a weekend to do a lot of reading where I read a lot of short books, a lot of manga, finished up one book I was reading. I vlogged all of that, so if you've already seen that, you may already have heard me talk about these books, but if not, you can definitely listen. I'll also link the vlog below so you can check out my real in-time thoughts on these books. But one of the next books I read was Dream and Sun, Volume 6 by Ichiko Takano. This is a manga that I have been absolutely loving. It's very cute, it's very fun. It's about a girl who ends up rooming with a bunch of guys, and I like to say that it kind of reminds me of New Girl. Like I said, it's just really fun. If you're looking to get into manga, I totally recommend this one. It's also a great springtime read. All of the manga in this series are like pretty and pastel, so they're just really cute. I like having them on my shelves, and overall I'm really enjoying this series. It is getting a little weird, but I do like it. It's good. It's not my favorite manga, but it's really kind of a guilty pleasure, and it's something easy to pick up when I feel like I'm either in a reading slump or I just really want to get through something quickly. I ended up giving this one 4 out of 5 stars. Actually, that book was not in the vlog. I'm just remembering, but these next like 6 books are. And the one full-length book that I ended up finishing during that vlog was The Similars. This is by Rebecca Hanover. This book is like a YA dystopian. We follow a bunch of different kids, but in particular one girl who attends this boarding school, and in this futuristic world there are clones. There are 6 clones and they all attend this boarding school. There's a lot of kind of mystery. It's very kind of sci-fi, very much YA. It's a debut novel, and if you watch the vlog you'll know all of my feelings about this, but overall I just really didn't enjoy it. It was entertaining. I did read this as a buddy read with my friend over at Liv's Library. I love her, and you need to check out her Instagram because she's a photographer and she is amazing. She's super nice and I love her content. I will link her Instagram below for you to check her out, but we read this together this last month and it just, I wanted to like it so much more than I did. It definitely screams debut novel. There was just so much happening that it was almost like it felt like the author couldn't decide what they actually wanted this book to be about. And so a few chapters into it, I kind of feel like I get what it's going to be about. The plot seems kind of established. The character, who she is, what she feels, what she thinks, and then it would just kind of like up and change, and that wouldn't be as important anymore. And I definitely understand like a book developing throughout and things like that, but there was just a lot going on. There were also a lot of characters to keep track of, the kids and the parents and the teachers and the clubs and the clones, and then on top of that, like the mystery of the clones and if they're bad, if they're good, the political aspect of it. Like there was just a lot happening. It was a lot. It was a lot to keep track of. I felt like the last 75 pages were honestly not even really needed. She ended up doing this whole like backflash of a good chunk of pages worth of these like backflash of this scene that helped establish some stuff at the end, but honestly like that could have been condensed, I think, a lot, and it was probably not even necessary. So it just kind of at the end started feeling like a chore. I did end up giving this one 2 out of 5 stars. I still recommend picking it up if you're really into dystopian YA books. It was a fun and entertaining read, and it leaves off of at a good cliffhanger. The twist at the end actually redeemed it quite a bit. The twist was really, really great. Well done. And I think there's going to be a sequel, so if you are interested in this one, I definitely recommend picking it up, but it just wasn't my cup of tea. The next book that I read is another manga, and that was volume 1 of Marmalade Boy. I borrowed this from a friend who grew up reading this series and really liked this series and recommend that I try it out. And I really liked it, even though it was very interesting. So the premise is that this girl, her parents, literally in like the first few pages, tell her that they are getting a divorce because they went on a trip to Hawaii and they both fell in love with other people, but the other people are also a couple. So they're like switching partners essentially. Both of the couples are getting divorced and they're marrying the other person's spouse. It's weird. And then they decide to tell her, oh, by the way, we're all just gonna move in together. So this couple also has a son her age, and they end up going to the same school together, and shenanigans ensue, as you can imagine. It's very weird, but it was very entertaining, and I definitely want to continue on in the series. A lot of the setting takes place actually at their school and with her and her relationship with this boy, and it's cute, it's funny. I really want to continue on. I went ahead and gave this 4 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read is The Test by Sylvia Neuville, and if you watch my vlog, you'll know how much I loved this. It was so good. This is an incredibly short book. I think it's like 100 pages. It's a short story that follows a man who is taking a British citizenship test. If he fails the test, he has to take his family and go back to Afghanistan. If he passes the test, he can stay. It makes it sound pretty easy, but so much happens in this 100 pages. Basically, while the guy is taking the test, there is a terrorist situation in which a bunch of guys come in with guns and start to kill people, and they force him to make the choices on who to kill. This is actually part of the test, which is bonkers, and oh my goodness, it's crazy. If you've ever seen the show Black Mirror on Netflix, it definitely has all those vibes of just, what if this happened? What would I do in this situation? What is this guy gonna do? Why is this happening? Like, so many thoughts, so good. It was well written. I was totally hooked. You'll fly through it. I definitely recommend. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. It was crazy and I loved it. The next book that I read was The Grown Up by Gillian Flynn, and I loved this one as well. Gillian Flynn has never disappointed me. I have given all of her books 5 stars. She is a phenomenal author, and if you haven't read anything by her, do not sleep on this author if you enjoy mystery thriller, because just so good. This is another short story. I think it's like 86 pages. I know it's under 100 pages. It's totally tiny and it is crazy. It follows the story of this woman who is basically a con artist, and she ends up getting involved in this con where she pretty much just gets in over her head. And she meets this woman who has this son, who the son is kind of crazy and freaking her out. I, for some reason, love the trope of like weird messed up children who are like out to kill their parents. I just think that is so scary, but it's so entertaining, and this definitely has that in there. There's some fun twists. I loved it. It was so good. Highly recommend. Also gave this 5 out of 5 stars. So good. The next book that I read was A House at the Bottom of the Lake by Josh Malerman. Again, this is a short book. I think, again, about 100 pages. It follows the story of two teenagers who go canoeing for their first date. While they're canoeing, they discover a house at the bottom of a lake. They end up getting very attached to this house and buying scuba gear to go and explore the house. It's very intriguing. The story is super immersive. Like, you feel like you're underwater sometimes reading some of these things. The house is in like pristine condition. There's like furniture that's not floating. There's, you know, place settings and silverware and trinkets. And then they start hearing things in the house and it just gets creepy but awesome. It's very magical. Like I said, it's just very immersive. You really feel like you are the character in the house, and I loved reading this. It's so good. I would love to see them do a movie about this. Just so fascinating. It's like a magical ghost story with characters that you like, and yeah, in a short little compact book. I loved it. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. I read another manga during the month of April and during that vlog, and that was Tokyo Terrible Girls Volume 3. I am loving this manga. It's like Sex in the City meets manga. It's about 3 women who are in their 30s. None of them are married, none of them have kids, and they all feel this pressure to have these certain lives. It's very silly, it's very funny. I'm really enjoying reading a manga that has adult characters, because I think all of the manga I've read up until this one has been young adult characters in like high school and stuff like that. So this has just been kind of like a breath of fresh air to read a manga like this. I just really enjoy it. It's very silly and funny, and I totally recommend if you're looking for a good like adult manga. And I did go ahead and give this one 4.5 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read was a graphic novel, and that was The Prince and the Dressmaker by Jen Wang. This is a middle grade, young adult? I'm not quite sure, but it's a graphic novel. First of all, the art is beautiful. You guys know that I freaking just love pretty graphic novels with pretty color schemes and artwork, and this was definitely one of those. The fashion. So it follows this dressmaker and this prince, and this dressmaker ends up getting hired by the prince to make him dresses. And it's just a story about friendship and diversity, and it's just a really powerful little book. I really enjoyed it a lot. I really liked the characters. I loved the dressmaker. I thought she was just powerful and sweet and kind, and yeah, I really liked her character. Overall, really great story. Not my new favorite graphic novel. It was fun to read. I don't know if I'll ever pick it up again, but I did enjoy it, and for that reason I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. This is the last book that I read in the month of April, and it was probably my favorite book I read all month, and that was My Lovely Wife. This is by Samantha Downing. This was so entertaining. This is an adult mystery thriller that they market it as like Dexter meets Mr. and Mrs. Smith, which, yes. So essentially the story follows a husband and wife who have 2 children, and during their marriage, as part of self-defense, they find themselves in the situation where the husband needs to kill someone in their house in front of his wife. This kind of sets them on a trajectory of killing people, and so the husband basically goes out and finds women for his wife to murder because they think it's fun. So definitely weird, definitely interesting, but it's told from the husband's perspective. I hated the wife. She was like the worst, best character, and yeah, it's just really, really entertaining, you guys. Like, it's just this suburban life. This husband and wife, they have their jobs, they have their career, their children, date night, and just, yeah, it's entertaining. And there's definitely some twists and some turns, and I think my only critique is that it was a little long. I think this could have been like 50, 75 pages shorter. There were some times where it could have just been a little bit more compact, but this was actually a debut novel, and I thought it was phenomenal for a first-time book. I'll definitely be picking up Samantha Downing's next book. This was great. I can't recommend it enough. All right, you guys, well, those are all of the books that I read in April. It was such a good reading month. You should let me know down in the comments what you read in the month of April. What was your favorite book that you read last month? I would really love to know. I love adding recommendations that you guys give me to my TBR. This is how I like learn about the books that I want to read, so please, please, please share with me what you read, because I would really like to know. All right, you guys, well, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day wherever you are, and I will talk to you soon in my next video. Bye!